A monstrous wall of water, howling winds, the sheer force of nature unleashed its fury, leaving nothing untouched in its path. Hurricane Helene, a Category 4 beast, slammed into the coast with an unrelenting ferocity. The coastline bore the brunt of its wrath, as waves taller than buildings crashed ashore. Homes were reduced to rubble, their foundations ripped apart by the storm's relentless power. Entire neighborhoods were flattened, leaving behind a haunting silence. Businesses disappeared under a torrent of seawater, their interiors submerged and their livelihoods washed away. Streets turned into rivers, making the familiar unrecognizable. The roar of the storm was deafening, a terrifying symphony of destruction. Winds howled like banshees and rain fell in sheets, obscuring everything in sight. Helene left a trail of devastation in its wake, a stark reminder of nature's raw power. The landscape was forever altered, a testament to the storm's unyielding strength. The storm raged for hours, its fury unceasing. Time seemed to stand still as the relentless winds and rain battered the coast. Relentless wind and rain lashed the coastline, stripping trees of their leaves and tearing roofs from homes. The shoreline was a battleground, nature's fury against human resilience. Millions huddled in fear, hoping against hope that their homes would withstand the onslaught. Families clung to each other, their faces etched with worry and uncertainty. When the storm finally retreated, it left behind a landscape forever scarred. The aftermath was a scene of desolation, with debris scattered as far as the eye could see. The once familiar streets were now unrecognizable, littered with debris and the shattered remnants of lives upended. The community faced the daunting task of rebuilding, but the spirit of resilience remained strong. Helene began innocently enough, a tropical disturbance off the coast of Africa. It was just another blip on the radar, a small cluster of thunderstorms that seemed harmless at first glance. But this seemingly insignificant weather system held a dark secret. Beneath its unassuming exterior, conditions were ripe for something much more menacing. Fueled by warm ocean waters, it grew rapidly. The heat from the ocean surface provided the energy needed for the storm to intensify. The winds picked up, whipping the sea into a frenzy. Waves grew taller, and the ocean's surface became increasingly chaotic. The storm surged westward, transforming into a tropical depression, then a tropical storm. Each stage of its development brought more power and more danger. With alarming speed, Helene morphed into a hurricane. The transformation was swift, and the storm's structure became more organized. The swirling mass of clouds gained definition, a sinister eye forming at its center. This eye was a clear indicator of the storm's growing strength. It was now a Category 1 hurricane, then Category 2, its power growing exponentially. The winds became more ferocious, and the storm's reach extended further. Meteorologists watched with growing concern as Helene intensified into a major hurricane, its path aimed directly at densely populated areas. The potential for devastation was enormous, and preparations began in earnest to mitigate the impact of this monstrous storm. The day dawned bright, the calm before the storm a cruel deception. Coastal residents, heeding evacuation orders, fled inland. Those who remained braced for the impact. As the hours ticked by, the sky darkened ominously. The wind picked up, transforming from a gentle breeze to a howling gale. Then, the storm hit. Hurricane Helene made landfall with the force of a nuclear bomb. Winds exceeding 150 miles per hour tore through towns and cities. The storm surge, a towering wall of water, swallowed everything in its path. Buildings crumbled, trees were uprooted like twigs. It was a scene of unimaginable chaos and destruction. The relentless rain triggered widespread flooding. Rivers and streams overflowed their banks, transforming once peaceful waterways into raging torrents. Homes were inundated with water, families forced to seek refuge on rooftops. Emergency services were overwhelmed, struggling to reach those stranded by the rising floodwaters. The deluge continued for days. As the rain finally subsided, the true extent of the devastation became horrifyingly clear. Entire communities were underwater. Bridges collapsed, roads were washed away. The landscape was scarred, a grim testament to the destructive power of nature's fury. In the storm's wake, a scene of devastation. The storm, a force of nature so powerful, had left an indelible mark on the landscape. The storm passed, leaving behind a scene of utter devastation. Streets once bustling with life were now eerily silent, covered in debris and remnants of what used to be homes and businesses. The air was thick with the smell of seawater, debris, and the stench of decay. Floodwaters had receded, but they left behind a toxic mix of mud and waste, making the air almost unbreathable. Dazed survivors emerged from shelters, their faces etched with shock and disbelief. They wandered through the wreckage, searching for loved ones, pets, and any belongings that might have survived the storm's wrath. The world they knew was gone, replaced by a nightmare landscape of rubble and ruin. Buildings that once stood tall were now reduced to piles of bricks and twisted metal, a haunting reminder of nature's fury. Thousands were homeless, their houses reduced to splintered wood and twisted metal. Families huddled together, trying to find comfort in each other amidst the chaos and destruction. Hospitals, overwhelmed with the injured, struggled to cope. Makeshift medical centers were set up, but resources were scarce and the medical staff was stretched thin, working tirelessly to save lives. Power outages plunged cities into darkness, hampering rescue and relief efforts. Emergency services worked around the clock, but the lack of electricity made their already difficult job even more challenging. The task ahead seemed insurmountable, the scale of the disaster too vast to comprehend. Communities would need to come together, showing resilience and strength, to rebuild and recover from this unprecedented catastrophe. Section 6. The Long Road to Recovery. In the wake of the storm, a spirit of resilience emerged from the ruins. Neighbors helped neighbors. First responders worked tirelessly, searching for survivors and providing aid to those in need. Volunteers from across the country poured into the affected areas, offering a helping hand and words of comfort. The road to recovery was long and arduous. Clearing debris, restoring power, and rebuilding homes and infrastructure would take months, if not years. The emotional scars, the trauma of loss and displacement, would linger even longer. Yet, amidst the devastation, there was hope. The human spirit, though battered, was not broken. Section 7. Echoes of the storm, the economic fallout. The economic impact of Hurricane Helene was staggering. Businesses were destroyed, crops wiped out, and vital infrastructure crippled. The cost of rebuilding was estimated to be in the billions, a heavy burden for communities already reeling from the storm's impact. The tourism industry, a mainstay of the regional economy, was decimated. Beaches were eroded, hotels damaged, and attractions closed indefinitely. The loss of jobs and revenue would have a ripple effect, impacting families and businesses for years to come. The economic recovery would be slow and painful, a stark reminder of the far-reaching consequences of natural disasters. Section 8. The human spirit endures. Despite the immense challenges the human spirit endured, stories of courage, compassion, and resilience emerged from the wreckage. First responders risked their lives to save others. Strangers shared food, water, and shelter. Communities came together, offering support and solidarity in the face of unimaginable loss. The storm revealed the best of humanity. Acts of kindness, both big and small, offered a glimmer of light in the darkness. It was a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, our capacity for empathy, and our unwavering will to rebuild and recover even in the face of adversity. Section 9. Lessons learned, lessons remembered. Hurricane Helene served as a stark reminder of the importance of preparedness. Early warning systems, evacuation plans, and building codes designed to withstand hurricane-force winds proved essential in mitigating loss of life. The storm underscored the need for continued investment in disaster preparedness and climate change mitigation. The lessons learned from Helene extended beyond infrastructure and emergency response. The storm highlighted the importance of community resilience, social support networks, and mental health services in the aftermath of a disaster. It underscored the need to address the underlying social and economic vulnerabilities that exacerbate the impact of natural disasters. Section 10. The unpredictable future. As the communities ravaged by Hurricane Helene slowly rebuild, the world watches and learns. The storm serves as a stark reminder of our planet's growing volatility and the increasing frequency of extreme weather events. It is a call to action, a reminder that we must prioritize climate change, mitigation, and adaptation. The future remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: climate change is a reality, and its impacts are being felt around the world. Hurricane Helene, a storm of unprecedented fury, serves as a wake-up call. We must act now, collectively and decisively, to address this global challenge before it's too late.